All right, everyone. Patrick Byrne, the Overstock CEO, resigned the other day after releasing a presser from the company itself, like on Overstock itself, talking about, I guess it's, what's her name? Marina Butina, I believe it is, the Russian spy, which really is more like, basically Mr. Magoo mode than spy versus spy stuff. Kind of bungling. She managed to fuck her way into some NRA meetings, and this was considered espionage, so she went to jail. Apparently, the CEO of Overstock was involved with her at the behest, he claims, of Peter Sturzock, among other people. And basically what he's alleging is that the FBI itself isn't to blame, but that some rogue, politically active agents there, Sturzock and others, were trying to get him to do stuff that he thought was sort of official. And basically wine and dine this woman, get her into this meeting. It's a setup or a framing job or something. And that they did that, and that later on he sort of put two and two together and realized he had been had. Now, you've got a damage control situation right now. Like even on Fox the other day, basically when I'm walking by the TV, occasionally I'll catch snippets. And the coverage of this very story that I saw from Fox at the time is basically they had some bobblehead trot on there to say, well, this would never happen. The FBI is above all reproach. It's these solemn oaken halls harbor no secrets. They're sort of bullshit like that, very theatrical. He's like, well, this isn't a James Bond movie. Well, no, but it's also not some production that casts off government as being very solemn and astute and above reproach, and they always try to do what's right. Unfortunately, there is no James Bond to make sure that things always go right and are above board and not being corrupt in some way. Power corrupts, money corrupts, sex corrupts. That's just what happens in bureaus. The FBI is just another alphabet soup agency. The idea that it's held to some higher moral standard is fucking totally wrong. Every time that human systems rely upon the goodness of the people taking part in them without any real oversight, they break down. The FBI experiences apparently very little oversight because its own agents were provably colluding in a political fashion over the Steele dossier. What he's claiming, though, is that it went further than that. What he's claiming is that the Maria Butina thing was also part of the... Like Sturzock and Page, who were banging or whatever, who cares, took the Steele dossier, knew that it was political bullshit, from the Hillary Clinton campaign, no less, and fronted it to the higher levels of the FBI, stripping it of its sort of attribution in order to trigger an investigation of an active political campaign. A big no-no. There's a reason why he's not employed there anymore. I believe that totally. The idea that anything else happened in that situation wouldn't even make sense. What the Overstock CEO is saying is that concurrent to that, there was also a separate attempt to get, I guess, Maria Butina to infiltrate the Trump campaign or something. Yeah, I can believe that. Why wouldn't I believe that? I guess the idea was that she would sleep with him and he would introduce, because he's right-wing, I guess, he's sort of a Trump fan, he would introduce her to Trump or something. Oh yeah, go hang out with Don Jr. in this closed room for 30 minutes. Yeah, here's a rubber, by the way, or something along those lines. Basically a sting operation. And he's claiming that he thought he was just helping the Justice Department before scarily realizing that it wasn't really okayed at the top because, of course, he's massively rich and powerful enough to have connections of that kind. Yeah, I can believe the story. And the idea, by the way, it's a straw man deflection to try to say that anyone claiming that there's something really weird going on here is claiming that the FBI functions like a James Bond movie. That's just disingenuous. That's not what's being claimed. What's being claimed is that a corruption case we already know exists, we know that it's real, is more real than we initially thought, and that there were other aspects of it. It's not even that big a conspiracy. It's just suggesting that politically motivated agents in the mid-levels of the FBI knew about political materials, didn't like Trump, and were behind the scenes trying to destroy his campaign. They did this in multiple ways. It wasn't just the Steele dossier. If they were willing to front the Steele dossier knowing full well it was bullshit, as though it wasn't bullshit to their superiors, knowing that it would end up on Rosenstein's desk and end up triggering a probe potential, I think it might have gotten a little bit out of hand, even by their standards. Why wouldn't they take this known espionage agent, try to, I guess, set her up with some corporatist that might introduce them to the Trump campaign? It's a cockamamie scheme that probably doesn't make great sense, but neither does the Steele dossier thing. They probably didn't even expect to succeed as well as they did. we might end up looking back on that period in history and say, well, Peter Strzok, he didn't even know his own strength. He never expected in a million years that this could happen. And we may end up with some whistleblower at some point cleaning house at the FBI by telling people, by the way, the FBI was basically in flames after this was revealed because nobody thought it was even possible. And they realized that it was a big thing. When you have opaque government, don't be surprised if people substitute their own truth for the one that they're missing out on anyway. So you can't blame people for thinking that this is a little bit of spy versus spy stuff. But Maria Butina, it seems like literally all she ended up doing was fucking some NRA officials, and she got in on some mid-level meetings there that they didn't compromise national security. And I think she's in jail for just espionage. She's not in jail for endangering state secrets or anything even more, potentially damning. She's in there for basic espionage. She's working for a foreign power, she attempted to gain access to critical info. She failed. There was never any national security was never put at threat by that sort of bungling plan. If this is the best that the Kremlin can do, then I don't know that we really need to worry about the Kremlin. That and a troll farm buying, 100,000 in Facebook ads that might have changed one mind in Wisconsin. You realize how much more effective it is to have organic grassroots sort of shit online than it is to buy corporate advertisements on a tech platform, especially on Facebook at this point. Facebook's basically dead. I don't even log in anymore. Fuck Facebook. As far as this goes, though, yeah, it's funny to see him resign. And the funnier part is the other people at Overstock, they're saying, oh, yeah, no, we don't have a problem with the presser itself. It's just the fire that it drew forced us to get him to resign. Basically, the fact that the stock price went down as a politicized reaction is why he's out. He's not out for the presser itself. They're standing by their man. He's telling the truth. That's basically what is the case. He's telling the truth. At the very least, his honest opinion is that he accidentally worked for the deep state for a couple of years as part of this witch hunt bullshit going on. And it is a witch hunt. The Mueller probe was prefaced on lies. We were sold the idea that Russia colluded with the Trump campaign, that it interfered with and influenced the election. That did not happen. We have proof that it did not happen, because you can't prove a negative, but after 2 years, if you haven't found any proof in opposition to something, the proper mode to go into as well, it's probably bullshit. It's probably nothing. There's a 99.9% chance that the Mueller probe was based on total fucking bullshit. The Democrats refused to let that go for political reasons. The FBI and similar groups refused to let it go to save face, and they all go back to pretending that it never happened in the first place. But it did happen. It absolutely did. That's about all. Peace out.